I haven't offered reconciliation, but I have managed to extract the truth from her. I have gotten her to confess to the affair partner's girlfriend. I felt I could push the envelope much further. I walked outside to finish the call with my wife's affair partner's girlfriend. After finishing the call, I walked back into the house towards where my wife was sitting on the couch. She couldn't look towards my direction. She had stopped writing. I sat down and asked her what she wants to do with our relationship. She said she was sorry and that she was deceived by Kate and it was her fault, and she encouraged her and then betrayed her. I told her that it wasn't Kate's fault. She is an adult and should be able to make her own decisions and keep her commitments. I asked her if Kate told her not to use protection during her affair. She responded that she used protection. Then I followed up with, "Why do you need birth control pills if you were using protection?" She looked confused when I mentioned the birth control pill. I asked her if she denies using birth control pills, and she wouldn't answer. She was face down and knew she had been caught. She was confused because she didn't know how I found out. I enjoyed seeing her world crumble, especially when she didn't know how I found out. She thought she had kept her affair well hidden. She continued to mumble that she could fix everything. She said she would go no contact with the affair partner and Kate. I told her that I can't be in a relationship where I am constantly monitoring what she is doing. I asked her how I would know that she had gone no contact with Kate and the affair partner, and she pulled out her phone and texted the affair partner. She texted him something to the effect of, "My husband has found out about our relationship and your girlfriend now knows. Please do not call or contact me." She showed me the text before sending it. Then I asked her about Kate and she told me that she needed to speak to Kate in person. I asked her why, and she wouldn't answer. Then I said, at least Kate was truthful enough to tell me her part in this. I acted as if Kate was my spy and she had been spying on her. At the time, I didn't know the consequences of what I was doing. I was trying to play it off like it was Kate who exposed her, and I could see by the blank stare in my wife's eyes that she was angry with Kate. I wanted to create enmity between both of them for my pleasure as payback for what they had both put me through. On the voice recorder, she admitted to Kate that she had indeed opened a Tinder account. So I asked her if she had any other accounts that I should know about, any secret accounts with any services. She said she did not. I asked her again if she was sure, anything Tinder. She said she did not have Tinder, but I could see she was squirming. It was as if she could not acknowledge the truth. The Tinder app was something she set up after her affair partner. Her affair partner wasn't actually available to her. I remember that day I was upstairs sleeping, and she snuck out of our bedroom to speak to him. She told him, "I am unbelievably horny, and if we don't meet up, I'm going to Tinder." As she spoke to her affair partner, I asked her to give me her phone, which she did. I went to the Tinder website and selected login by phone. She stood behind me and I asked her, "Are you sure you don't have an account?" She looked uncomfortable and mumbled, "I don't think so." I followed up by saying, "You don't think so, or you don't know?" She replied that she didn't know. I then asked her, "How could you not know if you have a Tinder account or not?" She went silent and couldn't answer the question. I asked her one more time, "What if I find Tinder on your phone?" She mumbled that she had nothing to hide. I reminded her that she had said the same thing 2 hours ago. I had her phone in my hand and started to enter her phone number. As I was typing, she abruptly jumped and tried to grab the phone out of my hand. I held it tighter and pushed her away, causing her to fall on the couch and tumble to the floor. I didn't expect her to fall so hard. I was tempted to check on her, but I composed myself and maintained my composure. I reminded her that she had agreed to give me access to her phone because she had nothing to hide. Instead of standing up, she stayed on the floor and started sobbing. I didn't even bother to look at her and continued with my search. I went through her phone apps, but couldn't find Tinder. I thought maybe she was hiding it on her phone. I didn't give up because I was sure I had heard her confessing to having Tinder on the voice-activated recorder. I then had the thought to search for Tinder on her browser, and there it was, the popular dating site for hookups. The same site she had denied having just a few minutes ago. As I typed T on her browser, the Tinder site URL dropped down as her favorite. I opened the site, but it didn't automatically log in. The username was present, but not the password. She was still on the floor with her head between her knees. I called her by her name, and she looked up at me. I sat on the couch and showed her her phone, asking, "What is this?" She responded that she doesn't use it. I asked her why the username was there and why it was saved as her favorite. She then changed her story, saying that she had only used it once. I told her to log in, but she said she didn't remember the password. I continued to try to gain access to the site. I submitted her number and got the access code, then typed it in before submitting it to log in. I asked her again, "Is this going to be bad?" She replied, "No, I don't use it." Perhaps she thought I wasn't going to log in. Then I gained access, and once again she lied. On her Tinder profile, she had 26 Tinder matches and more than 41 unread messages. The last time she sent a message to someone was 3 days ago. She had used a pseudonym. On her profile photo, she had sunglasses and a hat on to disguise herself. But those who know her could tell it was her. I showed her the profile she created. Now she changed her story. Now she said she could explain. She said she opened it as a joke and forgot all about it. I asked her if she thought I was born yesterday. I asked her if she took me for a fool. On her profile, she said she was married but looking for fun. I showed it to her and asked her, "Would that make me a cuckold?" She replied that she was sorry and she just opened it for fun and didn't think anything of it, and hasn't met anybody from there. I watched her as she was still unraveling, as the walls of lies she had built around herself crumbled when I challenged her with the truth. It's been a nightmare trying to crawl my way to the truth. She said that she understands that she cannot be trusted and doesn't know herself. She said she didn't understand what she was doing. I told her that she understood very well what she was doing. She apologized, and there were more words along the lines of being ashamed, not knowing herself, and so on. She genuinely looked like she was struggling with what she did. She reiterated that she never met anyone on there, which couldn't be verified unless I read the messages. But what's the point? To me, opening a hookup dating app like Why Married should be akin to hooking up with a stranger, and where there's smoke, there is fire. Moreover, I think there was evidence that messages have been deleted. I wish there was a way on Tinder to know if conversations have been deleted. Is data recovery possible at all? It started to look like we had reached the limits of the day. But she continued to apologize and self-deprecate. But I need her to actually do something to provide clarity. She asked me what she needed to do to gain my trust back. I told her to first provide a detailed timeline of all her affairs. And second, she should pack an overnight bag because I'm not letting her stay in the same house with me. I told her that she can't stay in the house. She should pack her things and go stay with her boyfriend or Kate. She begged me, telling me that I should forgive her and I should think about our kids and how it would disrupt their lives. I told her that she should have thought about that when she was having an affair. I told her that she had been thinking about replacing me and she didn't desire me. There was no need for us to live in the same house. She was on her knees, begging and crying. I knew she would continue to beg and hope that I would forgive her until I went into the bedroom and calmly started packing her things for her. That was when she knew that I was serious. I almost lost control but managed to stay cool and calm. She got the message and started packing her things by herself. I did not yell. I did not yell or lose my patience and allowed her fantasy world to crumble under its own weight. It's too much to process right now. I have set some boundaries, and she has suggested some too, which we have refined. It wasn't even clear to her that the marriage is over and we are going for a divorce. I have sent her away from the house as I cannot trust her, and I think that really hit her hard. So I'm now alone in our house and the silence is deafening. So much to digest and think about. But for now, a cup of tea and some rest is in order. I checked my recording to make sure I recorded it on my phone and on the voice-activated recorder. The following day, I planned turning in all the evidence to my lawyer. In terms of serving papers, I'm definitely going to be starting the process ASAP. I should have really gotten the ball rolling sooner, but it's been so sudden, and it's hard to get my head together. It's the next step for sure, though. STD test, I have already ordered mine. It's up to her to get tested herself. The kids, yeah, that's the tough part. I will try not to disrupt their lives because of their mother's infidelity. I kept them at my parents' house during the confrontation and shielded them from anything nasty. I will soon meet up with my wife to come up with some sort of arrangement to ensure their lives stay as normal as possible, since the default path is divorce at the moment. I will also be considering a polygraph test, something to explore the idea that there have been more infidelity in the past and more lies. That's something for a lot further down the road, though. Though I am nervous as hell, I will try to remain calm and assertive. I think I'm tired from the week, but I don't really want to just sleep or something. Maybe I will mow the grass. So after work, the following day, she dropped off the kids at the house from school. I'm still not allowing her to stay in the house, but I don't know how long this will carry on because it's becoming a burden to both of us since it's disrupting how we care for our children. She also took the opportunity to take some of her stuff and talk with me some more. I don't wish to reconcile with my wayward wife, but I want to dangle the carrot so she will come clean about her infidelities. Even though I think I have enough, that way I can get all the information I need to ensure that I have the upper hand in the divorce settlement. In my heart, I will not reconcile with her, even if I want to, because I know truly that she doesn't feel attracted to me. If she was willing to sneak out of my bed in the middle of the night to call another man for the sole purpose of soliciting physical affection from him, then I am not a viable option for her. And to make matters worse, when he refused her, she threatened to go on Tinder. And she actually followed through with it. So yesterday, when I met my wife when I dropped off our kids at her mother's house, we talked, and she told me that she called Kate, and they got into a verbal altercation. After she sent an angry text, she came over to her shop and caused a scene. They got into a physical altercation and are no longer friends. As strange as that sounds, I was curious about what happened, and I was delighted at the same time. I asked her what happened, and she said that she sent a message telling her that she was no longer her friend. I told her to show me the text. She responded that she had deleted the text. I asked her why she deleted the text, and she said she just felt uncomfortable about it. I asked her if it was because she knew I was going to check her phone, and she said no. I would later find out why she deleted the messages. More on that later. Here is how the confrontation went down according to what Wayward Wife told me. Mind you, I would later get an alternate version that contradicted her version. So here is how she described the confrontation. She said Kate came to her business because she wasn't returning Kate's phone calls and messages. She told Kate that she no longer wanted to speak with her because she encouraged her affair. Kate replied that she just wanted her to be happy, and that her husband was boring. She wanted her to be happy. She responded that she was enjoying her marriage until Kate came along and ruined everything. That supposedly annoyed Kate enough for her to physically assault her. They got into a fight and had to be separated by strangers. I found her story very strange, but I was glad that it ended up the way it did. I would later find out that her version was exaggerated to make her out as the good guy. She had a therapy session today that she suggested and set up on her own. She allowed me to look through her phone and check whatever I needed. She also let me use her phone and computer whenever I wanted to. I asked her to write a complete timeline of events, including details and locations, as part of our open and honest boundary. I will see if she takes the request seriously or not, and although she appears to be acting, there are still a lot of words that I can't take too seriously. She has been reiterating how sorry she is, but it's hard to see that for what it's worth, when it could easily be regret that she's been caught. Despite all her efforts to convince me that she's a changed person, I'm still gonna get a divorce. However, what I'm really struggling with is how to tell my two oldest children, especially since my eldest is very emotionally sensitive. All my kids are doing well, My wayward wife is a good mother, but a terrible wife, and I don't want them to pay for her mistakes or have our separation hurt their sense of security. On Monday, I went to speak to my wayward wife in the morning. She's still at her mother's house, and the kids are going back and forth, which is inconvenient and straining for both me and my wife. This is not going to be easy. On Monday, I went to see the divorce lawyer after work. The divorce document has been finalized, and all I need to do is serve my wife. I was undecided about telling her. I was unsure about telling my 2 kids and kept changing my mind. On one side, I wanted to explain what was happening. Our living arrangement had been disrupted and our older kids had been asking questions. I instructed my wayward wife to come up with something to tell them and to inform me of what she was going to say. I also told her to inform the school so that we could ensure there were no behavioral changes or problems due to our separation. This needed to be done regardless of whether or not the kids were told. I asked my wayward wife if she had completed the timeline, and she had. It was a dry retelling of the facts, but it was a start and could be refined. I informed my wayward wife that I would be picking up the kids and taking them to her mom's house to see her. When we arrived, her mom was not home, but some of her relatives were there. My mission that day was to break the news to my wayward wife that we would be getting a divorce and serve her the papers. However, when I got there, I started having doubts. I was reconsidering reconciliation. When I saw her, she still looked like the woman I fell in love with. But I had to remind myself of what I heard on the recording where she and Kate were making fun of me. She had snuck out of our bed to seek intimacy from a stranger. When he rejected her, she opened an account on Tinder to find other men. She and her affair partner had made fun of me, saying that intimacy with me was boring. I couldn't understand why she would risk my life by having an unprotected affair with him. And who knows how many people she met on Tinder. She was still the same person, but now she was feeling vulnerable and remorseful because she had been caught. When I visited her at her mom's house, we played with the kids for a bit before deciding to talk. One of her relatives took the girls outside to play in the garden while we talked. When we were alone, she apologized and said she was remorseful for what she had done. She promised to do anything to try to work things out. I told her that I would have loved to reconcile with her, but I knew it would be a waste of time because she was no longer interested in our marriage. Her jaw dropped when I showed her the divorce papers to sign. She started crying and begged me not to go through with it, saying she had done everything I asked of her. She even offered to leave her business to remove any association with her affair partner, knowing how much it meant to her. She also said she had found a marriage counselor for us to see together, taking the initiative on her own. But I reminded her that no amount of counseling could fix the lies and neglect she had shown in our marriage for over 9 months. I reminded her of what she had said on the recording and how she had hurt me. Her affair partner told her that I was boring in bed, and she was basically begging him for intimacy while I was upstairs sleeping. She looked me in the eyes and denied ever saying or doing that. I reminded her that we had already been through this before, and I couldn't see how we could save our marriage. She pleaded for forgiveness, but I refused. She then asked if she could stay in the house for the sake of the kids, since she is responsible for them 60% of the time. She said that after a week, if things weren't working out, she would sign the divorce papers. I told her that I only let her back into the house because of the kids, and she would be sleeping in the guest bedroom. She thanked me and apologized for her actions. We went home together with the kids in separate cars. After dinner, we put the kids to bed and sat in the living room together, reading the books she had bought. We had a long conversation that night. I told her that despite the humiliation she had caused me, I didn't hold any animosity towards her. We agreed to try to be civil for the sake of the kids, but I couldn't see a future for our relationship. My wayward wife heard me, but her expression showed hope for our relationship. She couldn't help but cry, but I couldn't tell if it was genuine. I got up early the next morning and went for a bike ride. When I returned, the kids were up and my wife had made them breakfast. This was a rare occurrence, and I knew it was her way of trying to make things right, but didn't change my decision. We sat at the dining table with the kids for breakfast. I couldn't bring myself to look at her for too long, as my emotions ranged from anger and resentment to feeling used and humiliated. After breakfast, I took the kids to school. The following morning, we went for a run together. She suggested joining me, but it felt tense. Normally, we would chat and I would encourage her, but this time I could barely speak to her. I stayed with her and stopped when she needed a break, but I felt like she was only there to manipulate me into not moving forward with the divorce. While at work, I couldn't help but feel low about the situation with my wife. For some reason, I checked out her Instagram profile picture so I could see her. She hasn't been very active since I confronted her. The last picture she shared was a beautiful photo of her in the park on a snowy, cold day. She was wearing her red coat with the hood up, smiling and looking fantastic. It was the same coat I bought her for her birthday. When she posted it, I commented on her Instagram, telling her how beautiful she looked and how lucky I am to be her husband. The picture was taken about an hour after she met her affair partner, using our kids as an excuse to go to the park and having her friend Kate cover for her. It was taken the Friday before last. It's a picture that perfectly captures the deceit, but I can no longer bear to look at it. It was still her profile picture on Instagram when I came back home that night, and we spoke some more. The more I talk to her, the angrier I get. At that moment, I realized that it may not have been a wise decision to have her around, even for the sake of the kids, because she stirs up so many negative emotions in me, and I will never heal with her around. In all fairness, she was trying her best to calm me down and understand why I was suddenly so angry. Then I brought up the picture. We talked about it, and I couldn't understand why she kept telling me she was happy when she was still sleeping with other men behind my back. She couldn't give me a good answer. I asked her if she was truly happy, or if she was lying about it. She said she was happy, and the only reason she had an affair was for the thrill and the bad influence from her friend Kate. She apologized. That night, after we talked, I checked her Instagram again, and she had deleted the picture. The following night, she made tea for both of us and prepared some salad and chicken. We sat at the dining table, our kids already in bed. As I looked at her across the table, she seemed more beautiful than ever. I know I am lusting after her because it's been a while since we've been intimate. Despite how much I hate her, I still tolerate her company. Whenever I start to feel warm and fuzzy towards her, I remind myself of who she truly is. The person I heard on the voice-activated recording is the real her. The beautiful woman in front of me is just a mirage. My mind keeps telling me that I am living a lie, and the longer she stays in the house with me, the harder it becomes to break away from her. I am trying to be patient, but every time she opens her mouth, all I hear are lies. The next day she is up by the time I finish my shower, and she has already given the kids their breakfast. She goes shopping to get some items for her business and grabs some lunch for both of us. She's at work today, so I get the kids ready and take them to school. I felt calmer this morning, but I still can't bring myself to speak to her much. I have lost nearly 10 pounds in the last few weeks, and sleeping has been difficult. I wake up regularly from nightmares. I don't really feel rested, and I am soaked with sweat every night. I am getting closer to 1 week, and I still feel like my marriage is lost, and no action on her part can put the divorce off. But I was still dragging my feet on the divorce, since I was content with having her share parental responsibility because I figured it would be easier if we are still living in the same roof. But I know that the sooner I divorce her, the faster I can start down my path of recovery. I am simply pushing back the date at which the divorce started. It means I can hold off paying my lawyer and having a $1,500 retainer, more money in my pocket. I have made her aware that I am holding off this meeting, not canceling them entirely. I have already had a consultation and understand the process. The next meeting was just for practical points and setting up retainers and determining the specific approach. It's an extra step I wanted to take just prior to instructing them to begin. I took an STD test and it came out clean. I DNA tested my 3 kids and they were all mine. Cooking tea was for my sanity. Cooking makes me happy and I enjoy the process. It gives me something to focus on and helps let go of stress. I started cooking tea last night too, but I had to confront her about something she said to the affair partner about us never having sex, and when we did, it was boring. I was furious and made it known how humiliating it was. She explained that it was not true and she was not sure why she had said it. I told her to think on it and come to me with an explanation. It made me angry, so I told her to finish cooking tea. She said she doesn't know why she said it, and that the last time we were intimate, she loved it. I told her that's not an explanation and I want her to tell me why she said it. She again said she didn't know, and I repeated that I wanted to know why she said it, and that it is something she needs to think long and hard about. The same applies to the photos. I need to know why, and being absent-minded does not cut it. She agreed and promised to work on it. My impression of the boring sex comment is that she was trying to justify the reason she was trying to arrange the hookup to herself as well as ego-stroke the affair partner. I don't want to put words in her mouth. I reiterated today that I am undecided on continuing our relationship and that the only way any rebuilding can begin is for her to make regular, significant progress. Part of that is finding the answer to the questions I have. The thing with telling the kids was twofold. One, so that she could compose something and research how best to do it, so I could review in case we need to use it. And secondly, to put her on notice that this is a very real possibility to drive home the situation. If we use it, we will of course both be there to tell the kids, and we would both be helping them through it. I wanted to be absolutely clear with my kids that our primary focus is getting them through this with minimal disruptions. The only thing that I want to be certain of is the decision to not tell them was made by me, so that we don't unnecessarily burden them. We are definitely not back to our normal routine, and I want to make it absolutely clear that the only reason I'm trying to remain calm is that I do not like being angry, jealous, or unhappy. All I am doing at the moment is putting a safe boundary around me so that I can process and come to terms with the loss of the future I thought we had. Those plans are all ashes right now. I need to restart thinking about my future and whether she is a part of it, which is very unlikely. I need to work through my raw feelings before I can make any progress here. It's all clouded at the moment by negativity. I am just working through this with my kids in my own best interest. If Willwood wants to start to recover, she has a long road to travel, and I cannot help her figure out her own problems. I am not some cuck who's ready to follow, shaken and obedient like an abused dog. I am not going to be hard on myself, as this is all out of my control. All I can do, as you can see, is to take care of the kids and myself. Cheating is definitely a deal breaker. It's very important for me to reiterate, so 1 week has come and gone. We still live in the same house but sleep in different bedrooms. She has been on her best behavior, cooking dinner every day and doing more chores than she normally would. It's been incredibly difficult for me having her here. I knew she was trying so hard to reconcile and she had been going to therapy, but I know deep inside that the marriage is on its last leg. Last night, I was in bed asking God for a sign that I should end my marriage. I am an atheist, by the way. Then a voice in my head told me that cheating on me with a client, lying about the birth control pill, calling sex with me boring, and soliciting intimacy from strangers is a good enough sign as I can get. I am taking steps to 180. I still go running, but I additionally joined a new gym that opened in the next town. I am still struggling to eat, but I am at least able to eat more than I was immediately post D-Day. I am drinking far less and eating healthier while still cooking. Sometimes it's easier, but I have an underlying feeling of sadness and humiliation, which on occasion would flare up into an anxiety or panic attack. And I am able to ground myself, though it takes a minute or so. Update. So Sunday was interesting. I have been going out a lot to avoid spending time with my wayward wife. One night on a Sunday of all days, I went to a bar close to my house. I was having a drink with a not-so-close friend, whose wife was close to Kate, and I told him all that Kate has done and how she pushed my wife to carry on an affair. After finishing my version of the story, I was thinking he would be shocked or surprised. Instead, he responded that his wife actually told him about the confrontation. I was surprised that Kate spoke to his wife about it, thinking that all the confrontation has now gone viral locally. He said that his wife told him about Kate's actions, that Kate admitted to physically assaulting my wife after my wife backstabbed her. I was confused and asked him what he meant by that. He continued that my wife apparently had an affair with Kate's boyfriend. I didn't expect that. I thought maybe Kate was spreading lies. But I was patient because my wife is a liar as well and her own version didn't make sense. At this point I was furious and he could see it in my face. He thought I was mad at him. Instead of continuing, he stopped and told me nervously that he wasn't trying to disrespect me. But that was the story that Kate is putting out there, and he doesn't know if it's true or not. I was so shocked that I held my drink in my hand, wondering what just hit me. Putting two and two together, I connected what might have happened at my wife's store that day. I figured my wife must have sent Kate a text message or spoken to her on the phone, accusing her of exposing her affair to me, which Kate must have denied. Kate came to my wife's workplace to straighten things out. Upon arrival, it may not have gone as planned. Words were exchanged and my wife was irritated enough to want to hurt Kate. So she reacted by telling Kate that she slept with Kate's boyfriend. Kate must have believed her because she then proceeded to physically assault her, causing them to get into a big fight. This version made more sense than what my wife told me. The burden is on me to confirm whether it was true or not. I was skeptical whether my wife slept with Kate's boyfriend because I didn't hear both my wife and Kate's boyfriend on the audio recording. I thought maybe that was what my wife told Kate just to get her angry. Maybe it wasn't true. My wife and Kate are no longer on speaking terms thanks to me. I wanted to get to the bottom of this, and I know that I couldn't ask my wife about it because she will lie about it. The only way I could find out was through Kate. I haven't spoken to Kate in a while. I think the last time I spoke to her was when we were at the restaurant under the invitation of my wife's affair partner. I still have Kate's number, but I don't want to call her. I felt like I would get the truth if I spoke to her face to face. I was impatient. I wanted to speak to Kate on Monday morning, thinking that maybe she would reconcile with my wife, and then the truth would never come to light. I feel like I can get confirmation from Kate that my wife indeed slept with her boyfriend. Then I would stop dragging my feet on the divorce issue. I already have enough to get a favorable divorce settlement, and my lawyer is on standby. I drove to Kate's house that she shared with her boyfriend and parked outside their house before she came back from work. I was hoping to confront her when she came back from work. I wasn't sure how she would react when she saw me. While I was waiting on her street, her car pulled up the driveway and I met her as soon as she got out of her car. She was surprised to see me and asked me what I was doing there. I told her that I heard about what happened between her and my wife, and I was there to ask her why her boyfriend slept with my wife. She responded that she no longer has a boyfriend, and they broke up after he confirmed what my wife told her. She added that she was sorry for not letting me know that my wife was cheating on me, and she regretted how everything turned out. I pressed her on how she wasn't able to know that her best friend was having an affair with her boyfriend, and she turned the question back at me, asking how I didn't know that my wife was cheating on me right under my nose for 9 months. She continued that, in her case, she didn't notice because my wife had a physical affair twice with her boyfriend and it wasn't a frequent thing. She said that it first happened when my wife spent a night in her house and then another night, so it wasn't a frequent thing. I asked her how she knew, and she said that after my wayward wife revealed the news, she confronted her boyfriend, and he confessed. She kicked him out after that, just to get back at her with a witty comment. I responded that the reason why I never found out was because she covered for my wife. I immediately turned around and headed back to my car. I had heard all I needed to hear. On my way back to my car, I could hear Kate loudly saying that she was sorry for the role she played in my wife's affair, and that I didn't deserve that. I didn't turn back or acknowledge her. I was in a hurry to get back home and have my wife sign the divorce papers. When I arrived home, my wayward wife was making me dinner. My kids were there. As soon as I walked through the door, she asked me if I would like a plate. I didn't respond to her. I wanted my kids to go to bed first before I confronted her. I headed straight to my room to look for the divorce papers. She knew something was wrong by the way I didn't respond to her. So she followed me into the bedroom and continued to ask me what was wrong. "What did I do now?" she asked. She got into the room and I shut the door behind her so my kids wouldn't hear us. I was so angry. I knew that I couldn't keep my voice down once I started talking. As soon as I shut the door, I asked her why she lied to me about the incident that happened between her and Kate at the shop. She started crying and acting dumb. I told her that Kate had told me everything. As soon as I said that, she immediately held both hands on her head and sat on the bedroom floor crying. She was crying so hard that my kids could hear her. She was acting like a brat. I told her that we were getting a divorce and she should sign the papers. I didn't feel like staying home that night. I knew that she was crying and acting like a brat because I was there. I didn't want her to continue to cry for the sake of my kids, so I took my laptop and some of my clothes and left the house that night. I drove to a hotel. When I was at the hotel, I updated this story and emailed my lawyer. The following day, I went to the house and saw my wayward wife. She looked like she'd been crying all night. My kids were supposed to be in school and daycare, but they were still at home. I asked her why the kids weren't in school. And she said that she was feeling really depressed. I immediately got the kids ready and drove them to school. When I returned back home, my wayward wife was still in bed. I served her the divorce paper and told her to sign. I dropped it on the bed and walked away to work. I picked up my children from school and daycare and returned them back home. My wife was still in bed on her phone when I got back. She started signing the paper as soon as she heard me coming through the door.